Okay, here we go. Everyone ready? Christine's getting tired. You've already counted down 40 now.
Rob, your camera's like drifted off a little.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to another segment of Video Ventures, brought to you by WDSRA provides recreational opportunities for people with disabilities in over 1,500 programs on an annual basis. The Video Ventures class is behind the scenes producing the show. Today I'd like to welcome Greg Zanis, who is here today for our interview. Thank you, Greg, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Joey.
Sure, so let's get started. I want to know a little bit about yourself before we dive into all the great questions we have for you tonight. So tell us about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm a carpenter, and a journeyman carpenter, and I've been, in my resume, I have built 26 homes. I opened 11 restaurants. We've done several basements and kitchens, and just a carpentry contractor, and you know, a very good tradesman.
Okay, and are you still a carpenter to this day, building houses?
Yeah, today we were doing some soft insulation repair, we're tearing the whole side of the house off, and we're going to rebuild it tomorrow.
Okay, great.
So, yeah.
So that's what we're here to talk about today, is that carpentry work that you're into. As the world knows, our nation has seen many tragedies across the years and across the nation, with it being Columbine, the recent Boston Marathon tragedy. And with your skills that you have as a carpentry, you decided to bring joy and peace to those facing these tragedies in a unique way. So, because of those tragedies bringing joy and peace to those people, the reason you did that was because you also faced a tragedy yourself. So, what is that tragedy that you faced?
Well, my best friend and my father-in-law was murdered January the 15th, 1996.
Wow.
And just having my family member defiled like that, shot in the head, and just left there in a pool of blood, just every time I see this, where I can see my reflection in there, just reminds me of that pool of blood that we had to deal with that. We're dealing with so much pain in this country.
Yeah.
So, it's just that I was just not expecting this, and we're seeing so much in this country today. I mean, my heart is about a lot of the, big ones, but how about in Chicago? I go in there all the time, putting up crosses for basically no name. Sometimes you drive by a week later and they're gone already,
right. And that's what you said. You see crosses in the face of tragedy. So tell us about the crosses. As we see one here, this is a cross that you actually made, and you bring these crosses across the nation. So talk to us a little bit about that in regards to when did this start? When did you get into this?
Well, first off, it's carpentry. And then if you notice, the tops are cut beautiful. Wherever there's a cut here, I'm not using any caulk to fill them in. But if there's a natural crack in the lumber, I want it to show like lumber. So pretty much these are 4 foot tall and almost 2 foot wide. Lately, this is the first time I've used this heart when I went to Boston. I used it for one lady on Deer Path Road, son. And she called me and just complimented me. Very seldom does a victim just call and compliment how beautiful the cross was, and she had to cry as soon as she saw it. And just, I thought, well then, I just made a few of them and took them with me and took them wet.
Okay.
So they dried by the time I got there.
So start from the beginning. When something happens, whether it's local, whether it's across the nation, what's your plan? Do you pack up? Do you fly? Do you drive? Tell us a little bit about start to finish.
I guess I look at the country as just the city of Chicago. It's really small to me.
Okay.
So if I'm going to run to Nashville, well, one day I went to Indianapolis. My wife went to work and came back, and I never even really told her I was in Indianapolis. She says, "Oh, I see your crosses on the news. You're trying to call that a murder. The house blew up, and they were speculating it was a furnace." I've been to so many of these that, I can kind of read a murder when I see a murder, So, and I don't think of Nashville is very far. I don't think of Denver as anything.
Okay.
You know, it's just 2 days for me in and out.
Okay.
You know.
So when you first decided that you wanted to build these crosses and bring them, what was the first time you decided to do that? When was that?
Well, the first time I put a cross up was for a 6-year-old kid that was killed in Aurora, Illinois, Nico Contreras. He was killed on November the 10th, 1996. And I didn't know that I was going to be in the paper, but I told the newspaper that, I'd build a cross for anybody anytime and deliver it for a charge. By that time, I'd made 14, and the 15th was the one I was putting up for my best friend. So that was on the front page of the paper. I never got that before. And it just was an honor. You see, when I'm building these, I think of my father-in-law. That's what I really do.
Okay.
And sometimes, the blood upsets me. When I saw the blood on TV last Tuesday night, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and could not go back to sleep. It was just dry heat, and I just feel that, I've never seen this in all the years I've been doing this. I've never seen this kind of blood, just blood at all. Have you on TV?
No.
I mean, it was a shock. It was like sending me upward to me,
Absolutely. So let's talk about some of the big ones you've gone to. I understand you did go to Columbine. So can you talk about that experience, what that was like, maybe some stories you took away from that?
Yeah, we just did the Columbine anniversary Saturday.
Okay.
It's been 14 years, and I was naive, it was about my 300th crosses, at the beginning I was doing 5 states, and what I did is I put up the crosses for the 2 gunmen, and that might have been okay, but I put them in with the rest of the crosses. So one guy went and took, some of them down, you know what I mean? And it caused a big stink. But the nicest thing was, as a Christian, I went and got a hold of him right away. I know one thing, if you're in touch with the media, they'll contact that guy in an hour for you. Just like they're like the FBI.
Yeah.
So I told this lady, I want to meet with this guy and apologize to him. So I went and met with him at a restaurant. And apologize with him because as being a Christian, we're not supposed to go to sleep until we reckon. But it's not fair, having the 40 hours, not sleeping. But anyway, that's the way I wanted to do it.
Okay.
So that was.
So when you arrived at Columbine, thinking 14 years back, you bring your crosses, you set them up. Are you putting names across here, or is it just as they are?
I go there and then I write the name on it.
Okay.
Always.
Okay, so the name's written across.
And I personally just write it across, people know my handwriting, it's nothing fancy, just caps all over the cross, But in Columbine, on the way there I designed a system of how I wanted the letters to be. And, some are more Gothic and bold and Western. In order for when I put the 2 gunmen's crosses up, I put them up in a Greek script because me being Greek, that disassociates you from Christ. It's an insult. So that was how I justified it to myself,
And what about the families of those that maybe lost their lives? Are they present when you're putting these crosses up? Are they there watching you do this?
They're very rarely there unless I contact them. Sometimes they contact me, then they show up, and then they see all the media, they won't go up and do it. But on the roadside crosses, always family are with me.
Okay. And
but with Columbine, just the anniversary was a couple of days ago, and I call a whole lot of the victims. They know it's going to be me.
How do you get that information? From the news? They give it to you? I
have thank you cards, notebooks full of thank you cards, and the contact information, call me when you can, and I'd rather call somebody to watch an hour of Batman on TV.
Right,
I don't feel stupid that way,
Sure. Do you have any stories, maybe, of families' lives you've touched, that you've walked away and it's just been an amazing story?
Okay, then I can catch the question.
Sure, like being at a tragedy, whether it be Columbine, Boston Marathon, have you walked away with a story that really stuck with you and a huge impact maybe on your life that has stuck with you today?
Well, it has to be Columbine, of course. It was a major step for me as a Christian not to be afraid to go out in public.
Okay.
Up until that time, You know, everybody will tell you, Greg would go out 2 or 3 in the morning, put it up, and, you know, sometimes I'd walk a mile. So nobody would know, you know, just leave me alone, I want my privacy. Scared to be in front of a camera, scared to death to be in front of a camera, you know, because 90% of the time I look like, you know, does that look like blood? That's just paint. You know, I normally look bad, you know, so I've gotten comfortable with talking to you. But, you know, I don't need counseling, don't get me wrong, but, you know, when I was in Boston, and I turned around after putting these crosses up, and the cameras were like 5 rows deep, and they were so polite. The front rows were squatted down. It just looked like a sea of glass. I couldn't talk.
That's amazing.
Because I said, certainly, you know, have something together. It'd be different, you know. And I told him, I said, it'd be different if one of you would walk over there with me, like what we're doing here. I'm very happy that we're doing it this way.
Right.
You know.
That's amazing, and I'm sure.
Imagine kind of we talk about this a lot at home, and in and out quietly. That's what we take nothing with us. That's kind of what we're doing. So we're in and out, and then we're not sitting there trying to grandstand, because I believe it's the victim's turn to talk. And we're going to see everybody come in. We're going to see the governors and the mayors and Jesse Jackson and everybody that we get in front of a microphone. They're going to go in there and talk. I'm quite the opposite. I really don't want to talk.
Have you ever been approached to talk?
All the time.
And you turn it down?
3 times a day.
Oh. And you turn it down every time? You don't want to talk?
I got a job to do. You said we'll do it at 7 o'clock, and Greg said 7 o'clock. I said, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It was pushing that because, you know, I didn't even wear my pants, but I swapped shirts and washed my head off.
Sure. Well, that's amazing.
No, I don't really see a lot of purpose in yakking about what I've already done. Mm-hmm. You know.
Sure. I know that you also went to Newtown when you went to Newtown.
Yeah.
When that happened as well. And I understand that a music video with Jim Peterick and Mark Shear was done as well. So can you talk about that music video a little bit?
Well, first off, going to Newtown was another first for our country, losing these children like this again. And it's, you know, I mean, child doesn't have any intellect. How can he be evil? How can you want to kill a little child?
So innocent.
So, in town, there was another display. You know, I don't mean my cross was a display, but there was another guy made angels, and I went and saw that, and it was just so touching, you know, to be there. But you could see him smiling, because I know when I go into these towns, I'm changing something that hasn't been changed. I'm bringing the severity of the world crosses, like with Mark Shear's crosses in that video. We recreated those in my property in Aurora.
Okay.
And it was like God was there. The rain came exactly drizzling like when we were doing it, and you know, I'm just happy to be able to share with Newtown.
Okay.
The song that is Newtown. Our town could have been any town. I mean, I love that lyric.
So did Jim Peterick write the lyric for the song?
Yeah, Jim Peterick wrote the lyric.
Okay. And then the music video is done. Why Newtown? Why did they specifically have a music video?
I don't know if you've had a baby yet, but any woman that has will know why. It wouldn't have to be I don't mean to be rude.
True.
You know, and then here's one more male chauvinistic thing, is you're not a woman until you have a baby. And then if you have a baby and you've moved that after all that, what the heck is coming, you know, who do you think I talk to the most in Newtown? The fathers? You really think so? It's the mothers and the older kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's just,
absolutely.
I've never talked to so many mothers before. Columbine or any other place, you know, or Colorado, it's the dad, he wants to hear some facts.
Sure.
You know, and
well, I have some more questions for you, but before we get into that, I want to take a little break so we can watch this music video.
All right.
So you can see exactly what he was talking about and obviously the lives that have been touched by this music video. So let's take a moment and watch that.
Okay, clear, but we're going to keep rolling.
Yeah, I know.
Are you ready to go?
How many minutes have we gone so far?
14.
Okay. So add 3 minutes onto that for the music video.
Right.
17. So we still got another 10 minutes.
3.5, yeah.
No, you're doing camera.
I don't see any editing problems so far, do you?
What else do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't want to cry, okay? Let's go there.
Okay.
You know.
I want to talk about...
You want to talk about my electric car and my car hobby? I got a 1927 Cadillac.
To that at the end. We can talk more about that.
You know.
I do want to talk about some more questions.
Have you thought of them?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay.
So...
Okay.
Do you have any remarks? Like, so everyone will be watching this music video. Do you want anything? Do you want to say anything based on that music video?
I don't know.
No?
No.
Okay.
Is this still
Here we
working?
go. Okay, quiet on the set. Okay, give us the countdown to 10, Christine. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that music video. Thank you, Greg, for sharing that with us. It was great to see, so we appreciate that. A couple more questions I have for you, and I've been curious as we've been talking about this. Have you had any resistance from anybody as you've been putting these crosses out?
Well, you know, at the very beginning, the city of Aurora, they put an ordinance against me putting out my crosses for more than 40 days. And then a few weeks later, the Fox Valley Park District put an ordinance out after I decided, well, I'll just move on my park property. You know, I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but, you know.
Sure.
So then they make an ordinance, and then the county of Kane County makes an ordinance, too. And, you know, you just take that into prayer. Now, you know, that's what happened at Columbine. When I came back from Columbine, they realized they made those three ordinances strictly against me, and they were never talked about again. It's just a miracle to me. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And too, with that, that's a big, resistance that people have had. What about families, or maybe not families, but the public? Maybe going into places. Has anyone in the public ever been outspoken in regards to resistance against this? Or is it pretty much everyone is welcoming to it?
Well, those are really silly questions. That's never happened. It's quite the opposite.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to, are you watching the news? It's the center of focal attention.
Sure.
It's unprecedented. Mm-hmm. It's not one cross normally. When I go out and go to Red Lake, Minnesota and put up for that, school shooting, or if I go to Wisconsin, there's several in a row. It makes me and everybody else feel like we're a family. We as individuals are watching news. We're so violated by this murdering maniac, and
right.
To me, it's I don't know if I've gone there, but it's reconsecrating the land. That's a Catholic term, but I pray for the devil to get out of here. I say, devil, you have no power here. Our nation is a nation of God, and I'm not prejudiced. I put them up for other people, memorials, whatever is appropriate, like a Star of David or Crescent Moon or a wreath, or it may be a heart.
Right.
But our country is God-fearing, and everybody that wants to get buried in the service with God. I've never heard of an atheist funeral yet, have you?
No.
Okay, well, I've heard a lot of them. I've never,
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's what I think is so great about this, because when our nation deals with tragedy and we have to face that, there's nothing better than seeing the cross and knowing what the cross stands for, coming from a Christian perspective. And this is what is going to bring hope to those facing.
That's what it does,
That's amazing. So,
well, can I end this with a prayer, or even close to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I want to pray for everybody that's helping make this video. And mostly today I want to pray for the people in Boston. Boston's heart is broken today. And as, just my gesture of going 1,000 miles shows them sometimes that maybe somebody else does care. The rest of the world cares. And amen.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing this with us. I think everyone out there now will be seeing these crosses around and will know exactly where they came from and what your intent is. So I think this is phenomenal that you do this. And I hope that somebody takes this over for years to come so that this legacy keeps going. It's great. So appreciate it. So now I want to get into more of your hobby stuff, because I understand you're a man of many talents. So can you kind of discuss maybe your hobbies and what you do on the side?
Well, first off, I got maybe this mental problem called megalomania, so I just love to do things. You know, if you give me a challenge, you know, man, I can't wait to get started on it. So, for hobbies, my sons and I built an electric car prototype. We've got 17 patent pendings on it. And
Wait, well, let's talk about that a little more.
Yeah.
So, did you just decide to build this electric car from scratch?
Well, if you're asking, I've been wanting to build this since I was 5, 6 years old. I drew drawings of it.
Wow.
A lot of drawings of it, you know. So it's just a kid in me getting to, and I didn't realize, my gosh, it's still modern.
Wow.
You know, have you seen this car drive around at night?
No.
It's unbelievable. It stops everybody, you know. It's just, it's glowing from the inside out. It looks like a flying saucer. It's way whacked out there someplace, you know what I mean? But my intention is this. I've got a guy with built NASCAR frames helping me build a frame, and it will be a road cage. And my intention, after going to 7,000 car crashes, I want to try to offer a solution. I want a road cage. So because of that, it's a one-seater. It's all lit up. And, you know, it's got a lot going for it. It's extremely fast on the takeoff because I have 400 horse worth of electric motors. And if you know anything about that, the heavy weight of the batteries, I'm getting traction. And the older you floor your Trans Am, they just smoke, you know. You're not really winning the race here. Anyway, my intention is to build a car that has a long range.
Okay.
So it goes from one pack of batteries to the next. And then my other hobby is I have a 1927 Cadillac limousine, armored plated, and I just can't get it running. So it's not carpenter is my thing, you know, so.
So is this electric car finished?
It's a prototype. It runs, it's awesome, you know.
And
I've shown it, you know, on a few TV stations, and it's been in this, Popular Science, and, you know, it's been on a lot of web pages, like, it's been on the cover of HubbleTree.com front page, and, been in the London Times with it, and I just, you know, everybody that I talk to about money either don't have it, or they want to own 51% of my company. Why am I going to work for you? I can't work for somebody else. It's not me.
Sure. So, what's your ultimate plan with this car? Do you hope that this is the future of cars?
Well, Joy, my life has been completed because my son and I made 300 videos about the car and the tunnel system it goes in. It gets very complicated. It goes in a tunnel system, and we made models of that, put them on the internet, and it goes around and around and around in a circle. And then what we do is we vacuum, push it, and pull it at the same time to make the speed and stuff.
That's great. So, 17...
That's not an answer, right?
No, that's what I was looking for. 17 patents on this car. What sets this car? I mean, what's the biggest thing that sets this car?
Some of the patents are, there's a pre-inflated airbag in the windshield. So if you have a regular hard windshield, and I see it all the time where people hit their head.
Yeah.
I see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
We have a pre-inflated windshield that has 3 solid inches of gas that these guys are using. The paint gun is real cheap, it's free. And you can punch it as hard as you want. You know, and I got a pretty good punch, and it won't touch the glass, you know, it just stops you. My car is like riding around in a bubble. Now, another thing I've done is I've made it 2 foot wider on both sides, because those are the crash zones. If you're riding around in your truck or your car and you get T-boned, you're dead. And I know because I'm the guy that puts the process for that a lot.
Sure.
Not rollovers. Sure. T-bones.
So with that windshield, though, is that safer?
It's bulletproof. I should have told them that. But
is it more safe if let's say, an individual would go through?
You gotta watch our webpage. We take our car to the Hummer, you know, we just flip the Hummer over. It's all bulletproof glass. It's hard to explain. We have robot cars of it and the real car. But it's intended to be a road cage, like nothing else.
Sure.
You know.
Great. Well, it looks like...
If it tips over, it's a pyramid shape, it can only go outside.
That's amazing. Okay. And it's amazing, too, in the sense that you're able to work on this with your son. So that's great as well.
We're great buddies, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming tonight and talking to us a little bit about your hobby, what you enjoy doing, as well as helping those that are suffering, bringing joy, bringing peace to many people across the nation. So I know many people appreciate it, and thank you again for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you, Joy, for letting me come on your show.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another segment of Video Ventures. We hope you learned something. We hope you had a great time. Catch us next time, Saturdays at 5 p.m. We'll see you there. Thank you.